high school, I had the opportunity to take a trip. And whenever there's a sign up for a trip, I was always the first one to sign up. Because of two reasons. One, I got to go somewhere cool, somewhere I've never been, and I get to go with my friends, hang out with them. And this particular trip in high school was a wilderness trip up to Algonquin, Canada. And basically that's just wilderness. Canada's wilderness. We drove like 16 hours up there. But the whole idea is that we would spend a week with our tents, our food, the things that we needed to filter water. Anything that we needed was going to be on our backs, in our packs. And we would get into rivers and we would canoe up and down big rivers, small rivers, through marsh type weeds, crazy stuff. And we would canoe in huge open lakes, which I had never done before. So they, obviously we wanted to be prepared, and the people that were going wanted to show us what to do. So we had classes on how to canoe, and basically how to preserve energy and not paddle far out, and the benefits of paddling far out and paddling close into the boat, what's going to take the least amount of work to save energy, and what not to do. They taught us how to pack our bags, and so if our canoes tipped over, we wouldn't lose everything. And so I felt pretty prepared going into the trip. So we get up to Canada finally, and we threw our canoes in the water and our packs, and we're ready to go, and we head off across this lake. And that was the whole goal of the trip, to traverse the water in this wilderness and go from lake to river and river to lake. And so we're headed out across this lake, and I remember having to use our techniques of paddling because the wind was blowing across this lake, and it was blowing against our boat, and the waves the water was coming into our boat, and it was incredibly difficult. We had to steer around different points where the water came out, and we had to go through coves. And finally we get like a mile down in this lake, and we come to the bank just like this that I'm walking by, and we park our canoes, and they say, hey, we're going to start portaging now. And what portaging is you throw your canoe on your back, and you'll hike half mile, a mile down through the woods, throw your canoe in the water, come back, grab your bag, go back, throw it all in the canoe and do it again. Go through the lake, paddle, come to another place where you portage. And this whole thing was incredibly hard. It was a lot of work. It was one of the hardest experiences of my life. This would have made my Canada trip a lot better. This is what I'm talking about. This right here is going with the current. This is not driving one way or the other. It's not turning. It's not sitting in the back of the boat. It's not like trying to remember which way to paddle, where not to paddle. It's just going with it like this. Just go with the current. See, the current's moving. The current is going. All we want to do is just be in the current. And if the current says, you know what, I'm going to go over here. That's the benefit of tubing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I have everything planned out. I don't know what's down the river, where the current's going to take me. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just going to be in the current. I'm going to let the current take me. That's what God wants for us. God wants us to be in His current. We try to turn things into requirements. We try to say, man, what do you want from me, God? And we ask God that, and we try to do things, and we make things up that we think, oh, if I do this and this requirement, this is going to be met. And it's kind of like canoeing. Canoeing takes work. Canoeing, you have to canoe, you have to paddle way far out sometimes to make big circles, and if you keep it close, you can paddle faster, and you can steer yourself with your paddle. It takes work. When you're sitting in the back of the canoe, you're responsible for steering the canoe. That's what God doesn't want for us. God wants us to get in the current. God's moving. God's current is moving right now. And all He says is, hey, just get in the middle of the current. Get in the current. Let me do the rest. It's awesome.